Alright, so welcome back to another video, and this is, by the way, part 2 from create CRUD application using React Context API. And if you don't watching the first video, I put link in the description below. You should click the link before you're watching this video. Okay, so let's by the way, this is the what we have from the last video, and we can add user. It should be go to /add. We can click cancel, should back to the home page. We can click edit, should be go to edit /want. All right, so now inside a source folder, let's make that bigger. Inside the source folder, not public. In here, we are going to create a folder called context. Let's do context, and in here we are going to create a global state .js, and we are going to create another file which is just say app_reducer.js. Okay, so let's working with global state first. So in here we need to import, say import React from React, and we need to import another thing in here. The first is create context and use reducer. Okay, so let's import the app reducer in here. Say app reducer from / should be inside the quote, so / app reducer, and in here we need to initial state and just creates a variable called initial state, and let's do users, and in here I just want to create a couple user. Just give a name user1. I think we should give ID in here, ID1, and name user1. Cool. Let's copy paste 2 more time and give this ID2, ID3, and it should be user2 and user3. All right, so in here we are going to create context. We need to say export global context, set that equals to, we are going to using this create context in here. Say create context, and we are going to bring in the initial state in here. To initial, wait, what's initial state, like so. And let's scroll down. Let's create the provider component. In here, let's do export cons global provider. We need to import the global provider in app.js, and we need to wrap entire application with this global provider. And if give a children in here, it should be represent our app.js. So let's say cons state and dispatch, so that equals to say use reducer, and we are going to bring in the app reducer in here, and initial state in here. Alright, so we need to return let's say global context in here, global context dot provider, and she should be the children. And we need to send value, and the value we need to send is state dot state in here dot whatever the initial state, the user. So we need to say, where is that? We need to say state dot user, like so. App reducer is not defined, so let's define the app reducer in here. We need to export default state and action. We need to say switch tag in here, say action dot type, and now for the default we need to just return the state. Okay, so now save, and what happened in here? It should be app reducer, I think. Okay, so save. Now let's go to app.js. Right here we need to bring in the global provider. Let's do in here, let's say import global provider from dot slash context, say context slash global state. And if we want to using the global state, we need to wrap entire app inside the global provider. Let's do in here, just say global provider, like that, and we need to put our router in here inside the global provider, because we need to entire our app to be available to access the global state. But what happened in here? Wait, what? Like that. Okay, so now if I go to, just go to, where is my components and user list in here, I want to using the user state, I just can I can do in here import global context from dot slash, it should be dot slash, I think. Yeah, global state. And we need to import another thing in React. From React we need to import use context, and inside in here we can do cons, say users, because remember in a global state we send the value with name users, and now we can access that in here. Users equals to use context, and we need to paste in the global context in here, like that. Now if you say console log user, we should get the user state. So now save, and let's see. I want to open my console, say inspect, go to console, I hope we don't have any error in here. Here it is. We have an array. Oh, we have an array. Okay, and we have a three object inside array. Okay, user 1, user 2, and user 3. All right, this is working. So we need to just using a map in here to showing the data in this page. So we can do now. Let's see, we need to put under the list group, we can do user. Remember, this is array, right? We can do user.map, and for every single user, I want to just remove the list group item, this, and I want to put my list group item inside the user.map. So I can do alt and up like that, and I can do in strong right here, just do curly braces, and I can say user dot name, because we are going to access the name right here for every single name. Okay, so now save, and I hope now we have a user 1, user 2, and user 3 in the browser. Bam! Alright, so this is fucking cool, guys. But now, if I click this thing right here, it should be good to edit one. And if I click this, it should be edit one. We don't need that. We need to access for every ID the object have, alright? So we need to in here, we need to do in here, right here. Just remove that and open the curly braces, and we are going to using backtick. And in here, let's just say slash edit slash and dollar sign curly braces, and we need to do in here is a user.id, because we are going to access the ID. Yeah, so save now. I hope that works. So if I click the edit right here, should be good to edit one, cancel, edit two, or king, should be edit three. All right, pretty awesome and pretty cool. So now I want to make this delete button work. So let's back to global state, and in here we are going to create another action. Okay, so let's do in here, we are going to create actions, and the first is basically it's just a function. So we can do cons function you want to create. Just say remove user, I think, or any name you want, just doesn't matter. Remove user should be equals to arrow function, and in here we are going to say dispatch, and the type it should be just say remove underscore user, and what we are going to send, just say payload, is the ID come from here, and in a user list we are going to import the remove user. All right, and we are going to, where is that, to in a button in here we are going to say on click, and we are going to running the function, which is the function in here, remove user, and we are going to send the ID. Okay, I'm going to show you in here, remove user, and if you add action you need to add the case in the app reducer. You need to add case in here. So if case is remove, should be uppercase, remove underscore user, which is the action in here. Okay, if we have the type remove user in here, we access that, right? Action.type. If the case remove user, we need to return, it's not to return. Oh, come on, man, return users, and we can do, we want to access the state. All right, this is to represent the state right here, initial state. We need to access the state.users. We're going to using filter method in here. So user, and we can do return user.id is not equals to action.payload. User.id just represent user.id in here. All right, and action.payload, it should be represent this whatever we send in this remove user function. Oh, wait, what happened here? Say ID. Yeah, let's try to import this remove user function to the user list in here. To do that, and in here, remember you import, you using user, right? Of course, in here you can do remove user. Just let's see in the global state value, we send the user, and in here we need to send the remove user. You can do remove user, can do the same name like that, but shortcut to do this is just remove the like that, and just to do the same thing. You don't need to be worried about that. Okay, save, and now we can import remove user in here. Okay, so we can use that in the button in here. So we can do on click. Let's do on click equals to, and we can do remove user, and we are going to send the ID, which is we set that to user.id. It should be uppercase, I think, like that. Yeah, so now save, and I hope that works. So now let's try to delete user 2. Bam. Pretty awesome, right? We can do user 1, delete. If I reload that, it should be showing the 3 user, because by default it's set it by 3 user in here. Okay, let's do something else. I want to, when I add user, should be adding the new user in the list. So in the global state, we need to add another function, another action in here. Okay, we can copy this thing right here. Let's copy that, and we are going to paste in here. And the name, let's change that to say add user. Add user, and we don't need the ID in here. We need to the name and the ID. All right, so we need to say in here user, like that, and the type, it should be what I'm doing. So let's give a type add underscore user, and what we are going to send in the payload, not the ID, should be user. And just make sure if you add action in here, you need to add case in app reducer, another case in here. Okay, so let's do case, and should be add underscore user, and we need to return something in here. We need to say users, and can do action dot payload comma and state dot by default we can access that state dot user, right? Users. This is user by default, which is 3 user in here. Let's try to save that, and just make sure you send the function, the action, to this value. Okay, so you can do add user, and now you can import that to any component you want. Let's go to, I just want to call, yeah, just want to open the add user, and let's try to, let's just copy the import in here. We need that as to right here, and let's copy this thing right here and paste in here. But now we don't need the remove user, we need add user. We need to import the use context in here. Say use context, like that. I think we don't need the users in here, just remove that. And in the form, let's do on submit, which is if I click the, where's that, the submit in here, it should be running. So on submit, set that equals to, you can put any name you want, but I just want to do the same name on submit, and we can create the on submit function in here. Just say cons on submit, set that equals to arrow function, and just give a space in here like that, and we can do anything in here. But now you know what, when we click the submit, I want to automatically back to the home page. How do we do that? We can import use history in React Router DOM. We can do that in here, say use history, and we can do in here, just say cons history equals to use history, like that. And if I click submit, we need to do history dot post slash. So let's try that. If I click submit, should be go to the home page. Okay, so it's working. And in here, for example, we have a new user, right? Set that equals to object, and we have ID, for example 4, and we have name, we say user 4. Okay, so in here we can call this add user in here to say add user, and we can pasting the new user in here. All right, so let's save that. Now if I click the submit, we should have a new user, which is ID 4 and user 4 for the name. Okay, let's try to submit. Bam. Okay, what happened in here? So let's see what happened in here. Just go to components, and let's see. That's the problem. The problem is if I click the add user, it's creating new object inside the new array, and in here inside the array user array we have another array. Okay, that's the problem. So we need to do in here spread operator, which is 3 dot, and let's see, let's try to save that, and I hope that works for now. Let's make that smaller. So if I add user and if I hit submit, now we send the new user in add user, and new user, by the way, have a value ID 1 and name user 4. And if I click submit, now we get the user 4 in the home page. Can delete that. Okay, pretty cool. But I want to user name should be come from the whatever we put in the input field right here. So we need to create state in here. So let's import use state, and we are going to do in here, it's a cons name set name set name, set it equals to use state, and by default set it to empty. And now let's go to input right here, and for the value let's set to name. And if I save and if I try to typing name in here, it's not gonna work because by default we set it to empty string. So we need to do on change in here. Can do on change, set it equals to a function called on change, and we can create on change in here. Just say cons on change, set that equals to arrow function, and in here are going to say set name to a dot target dot name. Okay, just give a name in here. We don't yet. Oh yeah, this should give a name, set that equals to name. Okay, so now save, and we can typing name now in the input field. Wait, what? We can do that. So what happened in here? Oh yeah, why I am set? Why I'm to name? Name should be name right here. I want to add a target value. Yeah, but you don't need to necessarily create a name equals to name. You can do this if you have a couple input, and you can put in here. Just remove that. You don't need that, I think. Save, and now let's try to typing name. It should work. Cool. So the new user in here, I want to change the name, which is user 4 in here, to the name come from here. Just do name, or you can just remove the name and like that. This is do the same thing, I think. Let's try to save. And now if I add user, just say hello, enter, and now we have hello. Okay, pretty cool. So I want to, by default we have a user ID 4, right? To say we have this is should be ID 4, and if I add another user, and this is should be ID 4 too, and this should be a get error if I want to add it. So that's why we need to using UUID. So let's import the UUID. Say import. We are going to using version 4, and let's using another name, which is say UUID, and it should be from UUID, like so. and we need to change the ID to UUID like so. Now save and reload the browser, and if I add user, and it should be the random ID like so. Okay, pretty cool. So now we can edit user, right? So let's try to create another. Let's close the app.js. Another action, which is now it should be edit user. So just create a cons and give a name edit user. Set it to equals. We need to send the new user, right? Which is the updated user you want to send in here. So say dispatch, and the type, let's give a type. We can put, I just want to say edit underscore user, and for the payload, of course, we want to send the new updated username. Okay, so just make sure you send in the value, because if you don't do that, it's not gonna, it should be error. So edit user, and now let's go to app.reducer. We are going to create another case. So let's do case, and it should be edit underscore user, and in here we need to say return. So before we return in here, we need to create, we need to create cons, say updated user, set that equals to action.payload, which is everything we sending in right here. Okay, so we're bringing that in this variable. So in here, let's do cons update users, and set that equals to state dot users and dot map. For every user, we need to say if why I'm doing couple n in here. So if user dot id is equals to, we need to access the updated user ID, so we can copy this and paste in here, and can access the ID. If the user ID equals to update user dot id, we need to return the update user, which is new user. For another user, is if not matched with this ID, we need to just return that. Just say return user like so. And why this is it should be update. Just remove the D right here. Okay, so in the return right here, we need to return the users, and we need to return the update users like so. It should be update user. Okay, so let's try to save and go to user list right here. No, we need to go to edit user. Let's go to edit user component, and let's do, I just want to copy this thing right here. I think this I want to copy this for import, and go to edit, and we can paste in here, and let's just copy the, I think this is the same thing. Let's copy this everything inside in here. Let's paste in edit user. Let's do that. And let's add on submit in here. Say on submit, set it equals to on submit, and we are going to do in just see, we need to say in here selected user, and just say set selected user, and we need to create object inside the use state in here. So it should be ID, by default is empty, and name by default is empty. What we are going to using action is users and edit user. Yeah. By the way, we need to remember in here, if I click the edit user, it should be have a parameter in here. So we need to grab the parameter in here. We can do cons current user ID, set that equals to params, no, should be props dot match dot params dot ID. Okay, we can access this ID right here. If we console.log this variable, it should be 1. And if you're using props, you need to paste in props in here. Okay. For the, you need to delete this thing right here. And for the on change, we need to, yeah, for now, just delete that. As to, where is that? My input, just give a on change. Where's on change? Set that to on change function. Okay, save, and yeah. So now what we are going to do is for example, I click the user one. If I edit, I want the user one is put in the input field right here. So how do we do that? We can using use effect. So we can import use effect in here. Use effect. Okay, and we can do in here, just say use effect. And what we are going to do in here, just say cons user ID, so that equals to this current user ID. Let's put in here. Can do con selected user, so that equals to users, which is right here. Okay, dot find. We are going to find say user, say user ID equals to this user ID, which is the parameter in here. Okay, say user ID in here. So now I want to send this, this should be the object. So I want to set selected user in here. Just copy that and paste in here. And we are going to send the selected user in here. So now ID should be come from here, and name, it should be come from whatever the ID we have in here. If we have ID 1, the name should be user 1. If we have ID 2, the name user, it should be user 2. Oh yeah, we need to send array in here, which is current user ID and users. If the current user ID is changing or the user is changing, the use effect is running. So now save and let's try to see. We should have a user one in here. Of course not, because let's see. We need to bring in the value in here. And forget that. Sorry about that, guys. Issue value. So that equals to, we want to access the name right here, which is selected user dot name. Okay, so let's do right here selected user dot name. Okay, so try to save, and now it should be user one in the input field right here. I hope. Come on, man. Hey. Okay, beautiful error. Cannot read property name of undefined. They cannot read the name right here. Alright, so what happened in here? Just I think I want to just cut that out this value. I want to just console.log the selected user in here. Just comment that out in here. Just say console log selected user. Okay, so let's try that. What we have. Okay, we get undefined. Why we get undefined in here? Alright, so let's try to see user ID in here, string or number. Just let's say console log, say type of user ID. If this string, just let's see, I want to see, I think it's string. Okay, this is the problem. This is string, and we set we try to find user ID equals to 1, and 1 in here is string. That's a problem, by the way. We need to convert that to the number. We can do number user ID like so. We can remove the console, and I hope that works for now. Let's try to save. Oh yeah, we need to uncomment this thing right here, and I want to delete the console, and let's try that. It's not do anything because oh my god, should be in here the value. Okay, let's try that again and again, and I hope that works. I believe. Please. Here we go. Here we go. We have a user one in here. Pretty awesome, guys. Yeah. Okay, so now remember in here we have onChange and should be onChange function. So let's go to onChange function right here. And what we are gonna do in here is we can do selected user. Say set selected user like so. We need to say spread operator, which is 3 dot in here. Just selected user, and we need to say a dot target dot name. We are going to give a value, and the value should be a dot target dot value. Yeah, let's say target dot value. Why like that? Yeah, let's try to go to onSubmit right here. And in here, we need to call the edit user like that. And we need to send the selected user, which is the new updated user, like that. Alright, so let's try to save and let's see what we have for now. For example, you have user 1, and if I add, I can't typing anymore. We have some problem again, guys. Okay, let's see what we have the problem in here. We need to give a name in here. Say name, set that equals to, just say name. Now save, and now it should be working because in here that's a problem. Auto targeted name, it's undefined when we don't put any name in input field right here. So now if I add updated, for example, if I click edit name, now we have edit user 1 updated. We can delete, add user, let's say user 1 for example. And if I want to delete, it should be crash because in here, let me show you right here. You don't need to using number in here because now we are going to use UUID, but in here we don't need that. We need to remove the UUID in here, and we need to remove the default state because we don't want to using number for the ID for now. Let's remove that. It should be empty string like that. Save, and for the add user, just make sure you're using UUID for new user like that. Okay, so now let's try to add new user, and I want to back to the home page. So now let's add user. For example, just say user 1, enter. Now we have user 1. Let's do user 2. We have user 2, and I want to edit user 1. And this should be the ID. Just come from UUID. Can do updated. And if I edit name, it should be updated right here. We can edit, I can add new user, just say user 3. It's working just fine, guys. But I want to, when we don't have any user, it should be showing, this is the final project, no users. Okay, let's close add user, app.reducer, close that out. We need to just open the user list, and in here we need to just checking. Let's do users dot length is more than 0. If that's true, we need to run this. If false, we need to run this. And we need to open the React fragment in here because this is JSX. We need to bringing the user map right here. Yeah, we need to bringing inside right here. You can save that out. And if false, meaning if user don't have any length, we need to just say h1 in here, just for h1 h4. and the text it should be no user, and just give a styling, just give a class name, set equals to text center. Center. Let's try to save that. Oh, let's see. Here we go. We have no user. If I add user, for example, say user one, enter, and now we have user one. Just click add user again. Say user two. We have user two. Alright, so I think that's it, guys. But let's see in the user list, and in here you should put a key which is unique. In here you can do key equals to just say user.id. Okay, and can save that, and now our app is working just fine. So if we don't have any user, we have no user, we can add user. All right, so I think that's it for this video, guys. And if you like and enjoy it, please give me thumbs up, and just make sure stay in my YouTube channel, and bye.